We cannot hear you, Pragya.
Sorry, I was on mute. I was saying that I'll start with the screen sharing now. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Great. So, a very warm welcome to all of you. Good morning. Happy to see you all. And today is also going to be formally our last session, like this session followed by, I think, one more session today. And there might be a little bit of here and there some other things which we might cover. But I would like to say a huge round of applause for all of you, and also congratulations that you were able to successfully complete this long, almost a year-long program, and you all have stayed with us through this. So thank you so much. And today's topic, as you're aware, is about the rehabilitation ethics, policies, acts, and welfare schemes that we are going to cover. And you must be familiar that we have talked about these kind of topics, in between when we have talked about what are different policies. But today we are going to go in little bit of depth of these topics. Okay. So before I go into the acts or the policies or the schemes, I wanted to begin with the basic ethics. And why this is important? Why do you think ethics are important? Or what do you mean by ethics? Anybody want to share something?
Standards?
Am I hearing standards?
Yes.
Okay. What else comes to your mind when you hear the word ethics?
Positive.
Doing something in a right way.
Okay, one by one.
Right, doing something in the right way, right? So yes, ethics primarily means that, ethics is a word that comes from the concept of value, that comes from the concept of attitudes in psychology, the moral. But when all of that consolidates into social structures, then it becomes ethic. Moral is very individualistic. It is a personal understanding of what is right and wrong. But ethics are always social. And based on ethics becomes norms. And based on norms becomes the laws of a country. And because we are going to talk about the laws today, I'm beginning the topic with talking with the ethics, right? So ethics is, as you said, the ability to distinguish right and wrong, which is based on our values. And as society, what we want to consider as right. And it is not absolute, it changes over time, it changes with cultural changes, with even policy changes. Something which would have been considered ethical at the past. Maybe, institutionalization was ethics. It was ethical to put people with mental illness in rehabilitation centers by even chaining them down in hospitals. But now, in contemporary world, that is not ethical. Right? So ethics also change with the evolution in our societies. So here are some principles of rehabilitation ethics. The ethics with respect to us, with respect to people who work with children with special needs, people who work with people with mental illnesses. So what kind of ethics we need to have as professionals, as mental health professionals, or even as educational professionals. And we have at different time talked about these topics, the concept of autonomy, the concept of, would you like to talk about the concept of autonomy with you? What is your understanding of autonomy? You remember? We have also talked about autonomy in Erik Erikson's psychosocial stages of child development. But very simple meaning of autonomy.
They can do something by themselves, like not depending on others.
Right. The power to make your own choices. And here also, in the respect to children with special need, in the respect of working with people with disabilities, they have always the autonomy to make their own choices. Just because you are a teacher, I am a mental health professional, or somebody is authority figure, they cannot force any choices onto them. We can give them all the information, we can educate them, but then final choice of making a decision about what kind of treatment they want to take, what kind of educational decisions they want to take, it lies in the hand of PWD or their families or their legal guardians. Okay. Next point is non-maleficence, and again, it is a core principle in the field of medicine. When we talk about people working with any kind of people with disability or even any kind of health illnesses, the concept of non-maleficence says that even if you cannot do any good to a person, you must ensure that you are not doing any harm to anybody else, right? So, if at all, even as adults or even as community members, you feel I don't know what to do for anybody who might be going through, struggling with mental illness or any kind of disability, you need to ensure that you are not doing any harm to them. And harm does not mean only physical harm, but it can also happen through even having our attitudinal barriers towards them, belittling them, patronizing them, or just overprotecting them, and not giving them equal opportunities, not giving them equal participation, right? So harm can come in so many ways. Then beneficence, which means that not only you have to ensure that you are not doing any harm, but you are also ensuring that you are bringing good to the person. You are looking out for the well-being of the person, of your child in your school, of your community member, of your client if you are a health professional or a professional, educational person. So even ensuring that how are you taking care of the special needs of children with special needs, and making sure that they are not left out in any way, they are getting equal opportunities. Then the concept of justice comes. What do you mean by justice? Because again, we have very, very different understandings of different terms, especially growing up, or in Auroville, we all also come from so many different systems of maybe countries, ethnicity. But some of these terms that we are talking about, these are universal. These principles that we are talking about, these are, these are universal. So even the concept of justice is universal. So what do you understand by justice? When do you, when can you say that you are just, something is just?
Pragya, I just want to ask you for a few minutes to hold. Dr. Dayanti Ravi, madam, is online, and she would like to share a few words as she came to know that we are closing and we have it a long journey of 1 year, and now is our end. She was invited to share a few words, and nicely she accepted, and she just have a few minutes because she is traveling. So welcome, Dr. Dayanti Ravi, madam, and we would like to hear you, and thank you to do the effort to accompany in this long journey. And yeah, we are here. Thank you so much. Welcome.
Thank you to all of you. I want to especially thank all the organizers at SAIIER, SLS. Thank you, Pragya. It was nice to hear you briefly. I just started listening to you. And I have recorded a little message which I thought would be better because I am traveling. So as you can see, I'm in the car and reaching the airport now for have a conference at Lal Bahadur Shastri at Mussoorie at the National Academy. So I'll be leaving shortly for that. But I think the work that we're doing at Auroville is very important. We need to really further strengthen what we're doing based on the principles of NEP in respect of children with special needs, and also the new policy for disabilities, which the government adopted in 2016, the Act as well. So it has given a lot more of disabilities, which are all included in it. So I think my message can be played, and I think what I would really like our team at Auroville to do, and with help from people like Pragya and other experts in this field across the country, and of course with all the support of Government of India and various entities connected with it, is that we must become slowly a center, Auroville not only a center that practices all this, but we really consolidate all our strengths, whether it's the language lab, whether it's the practices we carry out in school, all that we have experienced with, some of the unique things we've developed to really become a center for training others, not only our own in-house teachers, but we can actually have programs for such faculty members, even parents, so that in a cascade mode, if they come here, the key resource persons or master trainers, we can train them from across the country on various aspects of how to deal with children with special needs in a manner that their dignity is not only fully kept, but they really, each of them brings something very unique. How can they, in a beautiful way, become self-respecting individuals that can become contributors? They don't really have to be treated like people who only need empathy, sympathy, while that is absolutely in place to be sensitive to them. But I'm sure each of them has so many strengths. I mean, all of us are in some way or the other. We may have aspects where we need to improve, and there are things where we may be slightly better, and so it is for all of us, including those with special needs. So if we can harness the aspects, dimensions of their being, which are of benefit to the community at large, society at large, they will also feel very, very included and be able to contribute, especially in today's fast-paced life, where there's so much of lack of communication, although the means of communication are so much. Sometimes these children, these individuals, with the kind of patience they have, it is the patience, so there's so much that they can give. I mean, I know of many entities. For example, in Gujarat, we have an entity, there's a company called Microsign, and the promoter, the founder of this, there is a gentleman called Nishit Mehta. He has, as a policy, decided that, the majority of the people working in his entity will belong to those with disabilities. And his experience has been that they do wonderfully well. The turnout, in the sense, people who turn over, people who leave and go is much less. And the tasks that they do, even if it is repetitive, the kind of focus that they have, some of them were then mute. It's not that they would waste time in other things that often plague the general employees in many other entities. I mean, this is just to say that if we invest that little bit of time and effort, initially you may have some teething trouble when you set up an entity of this kind. He's been doing very well, and this is not a story of 1 year or 2 years, but for the last 20 plus years, he's been doing, and really the efficiency. So we have to inculcate that culture across industry, across academia, everywhere, to really include, people with special needs. And it begins with our classrooms, our attitude, the attitude of the parents, teachers, attitude to the caregivers. So I'm very glad you're all working on this, and there's a whole lot of provisions of Government of India which I have listed out in the video that you will be seeing a little later. So my best wishes, and I think I would love to continue to listen to Pragya on my way. So thank you, and nice to see Wamika as well, and all of you. I'm not able to see all the teachers individually. I want to specially congratulate and compliment SLS, Ashita, all of you under the umbrella of SAIIER who are doing so well. But we must consolidate all the individual entities which are there so that we don't function as silos, but together we can make a greater impact, because all of, whatever we do, there's still a lot more to be done, right? So on that note, again, my best wishes and thank you. Namaste.
Namaste, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much for taking your
Thank you.
and with your we are continuing with this, and hopefully we will be able to also consolidate, like you said, different other beautiful gifts that Auroville has in terms of even ABA, in terms of music as therapy, in terms of somatic therapies, or and also in terms of, like you said, language lab. And there is so much that can be knit together, and it could be very, very helpful, and it can developed as a very integrated and also a complementary, medicine-based therapy model as well, and educational model as well for children with special needs and for their families. And also the aspect of community-based rehabilitation, because Auroville is a conscious community, even international community. And the concept of community-based rehabilitation currently in India and in developing countries is something we need to really, look up to. So I think there is great potential. And also all the teachers, we need more professionals. And the whole aspect of community-based rehabilitation is to involve everybody, the community members, even the family members, educationalists, healthcare professionals, even primary healthcare people, everybody into the system. And I think by using those principles, we are able to build something together. And this whole program is also an initiative in that direction. That instead of just bringing experts, which definitely are required from the outside, but how do we train the people in-house in Auroville? How do we empower the teachers and the community members to take care of the needs of our own children in Auroville? So, taking that forward, thank you so much for your, kind appreciation and presence and involvement in this project.
So, Pragya, we have a Sita that wants to say something, and also Radhakrishna is joining for a few seconds as well. So, I just if they want to, you want to say something to Sita, you from the
Please go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am, for all your support. And in the last minute, we asked you to record something when you were not present here. But we are really, really, really happy and glad that you could able to make it. And we are going to play the video. And little efforts, whoever the teachers here, they were like almost 10 months journey. And it is so good to see them with all like positively and very enthusiastic when they did the practical activities during the session. Thank you, really thankful to you, ma'am. Radhakrishna, you would like to say something, because I see that you are, and you have been one of the encouraged person to make all this work. So, do you want to talk?
I would like to appreciate the enthusiasm of the teachers who are participating. During teacher training, for in-service teachers to show enthusiasm is quite rare, and whenever I have visited or whenever I have conducted online sessions, I have seen all of them dive right into the topic and really think hard about how to take this forward. And also I think the whole SLS team, because this is almost like a B.Ed program of 1 year, what we have done in this 1 year, covering all the syllabus topics and that too in detail. And I'm really happy to be part of this. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we can move on, and also thank you to all of you. Thank you to also who is not mentioned, Sanjeev, Nilima, and many of the faculties that all the media that has supported us today, Molika that also has been behind, and and especially for me, Pragya, that has been my great support to give me the strength to do all this work and keep going when the things looks not so easy, and also to see all your enthusiasm. Like really, the training has been a big motivation to us for do this work, and we are really happy to come to the end. And also, I appreciate the presence of Dr. Dayanti Ravi that took the time to be with us today. Thank you so much, and Pragya, I think you move on because we have our session to continue.
Thank you so much, Anna. I would like to say that on behalf of everybody here, that you were able to hold this together right from the inception of it to, leading it. and maintaining everything in the middle of it, like I would say Auroville itself, and handling from administrative work to even sessions and everything. So you have taken it to another level. Thank you so much for your commitment, consistency, and sincerity that you have put into it, and for bringing all of us together. So thank you. And yeah, I would say that the way teachers have really taken up this challenge and this opportunity is beautiful. And as we are moving towards the end of this course, we are also going to have a collective sharing session towards the end, maybe in December. And I hope dates will be also shared with NAM. And if possible, you might be able to also, come and witness that collective sharing session about how to transpire whatever they have learned into their own schools, which is a part of Design for Change project, DFC project. It's a very common project usually done in schools with school children, but we have tried to do it with the teachers here. And we are looking forward to seeing the kind of experimentation they are going to do with certain things they have collectively decided, and they are working in groups, and we'll be sharing that as well with you in the future. And we would appreciate your presence for that and your support in implementing all these things in the Auroville schools in whatever way possible. So with that, thanking all of you, I'll be moving forward with the session.
Pragya, we have the video shared from Madam.
Yes.
You know that my friend are not the tech, so maybe I will ask Vishnu to help us. We have it ready, but just Vishnu, you can help us. So I think we watch one of the videos and we move on with you. Is that okay?
Yeah, perfectly fine.
In India, the Namaste, greetings to all children all the way. In India, we have a great emphasis and try to ensure that every child, regardless of its abilities, it has the right to learn, grow, and live with dignity. In fact, the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act of 2016 is a very powerful cornerstone legislation, and for the first time recognizes 21 types of disabilities, and it also provides for and ensures that children have equal access to education and opportunities. Schools are all expected to create inclusive environments and make adjustments as they may deem reasonable, and provide the support that each learner needs to thrive. And complementing this, we also have the Right to Education Act of 2009, which guarantees free and compulsory education to all children between the ages of 6 and 14, which also includes those with special needs or those having disability. And it also emphasized that no child should be left behind because of physical, intellectual, or emotional differences. The National Trust Act 1999 also focuses on children with autism, cerebral palsy, intellectual, multiple disabilities. And it also provides legal and social framework to support their care, their protection, as well as independent living. We also have the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan and the National Education Policy, which has been a big game changer, which promote inclusive schooling, teacher sensitization, capability building, as well as infrastructure which provides accessibility to all. These ensure that inclusion is not just a policy, but a practice available for every child. So all of these, the policies, laws, initiatives, and frameworks They reflect a very powerful vision of a Bharat where each child with its own unique set of abilities, special needs, they're all not only supported and seen, and but they're actually celebrated for who they are. And India, or a Bharat, where education becomes not only a right, but a bridge to dignity and equality for all. I'm here today in a place called Silvassa, which is in the southern part of Gujarat. There is a special center here, especially learning needs, children with special needs, CWSF, on new education policy. And I'd like to show you some of the efforts that the teachers have done. I'm sure all of us Auroville are doing this because head, heart, and hands integrated into this effort of really reaching out to children who are those endowed with special needs and figuring out how to make their life more comfortable, make them more self-sufficient and be able to take care of various things in their lives, cope with their emotions, cope with their difficulties, and yet live a life of dignity, respect. But what is particularly interesting is, as you know, Harvard Garcia spoke about multiple intelligences: verbal intelligence, numeric intelligence, musical intelligence, spatial intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, interpersonal intelligence, kinesthetic intelligence. And along with this, he also was very tempted to add something called spiritual intelligence. And this is what people in Gujarat years ago, under the able guidance of Professor Kirit Joshi, who was the former chairman of Auroville, he tried to bring in a program of Saptadhara. So as those of you who understand Hindi or Sanskrit or Tamil or English, you will appreciate this Gyanadhara, Sangeet, Nrityadhara, Natyadhara, where you emote your various expressions, anger, fear, happiness, all those rasas and avarasas. And there is also Rang, Talang, Aushadhyadhara. There's Yog, Vyayam, Kelkud Dhara, where you exercise your body within a state of yoga, as she also said. But you also have Sarjanatmak Abhidharti Dhara, to create something which is very, very new, something which expresses yourself, ability to create. It cannot be something new, but a way of expressing your anger, your fears, your feelings, your anxiety, and so on. So there is also finally Samurai Seva Dhara, just as this whole world, this whole community is about giving and sharing. How can we help others just as others help us? It's a world of giving and taking. So once again, I'm delighted that all our teachers are getting trained and we draw inspiration and learn from each other. There are a large number of teachers here who can come to Auroville to learn, and similarly our teachers from Auroville can also come here on a visit and learn, because all of education is mutual, sharing, learning from each other, particularly now in the special area of children with special needs. So I wish you all the best. Namaste. Thank you. Namaste. The Government of India is also giving a lot of emphasis for children with disabilities, both from the foundational to secondary stage, that is pre-primary to all the way to the 12th grade. And first of all, it is covering all the children who have disabilities with one or more disabilities as per the schedule, which is mentioned in the Right of Persons with Disabilities Act, RPWD Act 2016, who are studying in government aided and local body schools. provision of aids, appliances, assistive devices to the children as per their requirements, removal of architectural barriers, and also ensuring that these children with special needs have access to classrooms, laboratories, libraries, play, recreational area, toilets as well, and also to supply appropriate teaching, learning material, medical facilities, vocational training support, and therapeutic services for children with special needs. Also, the school teachers, there are provisions for them to be sensitized and trained to teach and involve children with special needs. In the general classroom, funds can be covered within the norms of nearly 3,500 rupees per child with disability per annum. And also in addition, there is also funding, a recurring grant of about 10,000 rupees per block. Similarly, some stipends are also given to especially girls with special needs. And this is to the tune of about 200 rupees per month for 10 months. There is also a capacity building for the special educators, up to 500 per day for up to 10 days. So all these funding, similarly equipment for resource centers also, we can have a block resource center once in 5 years up to 2 lakh rupees or 200,000 rupees of a non-recurring grant. So these are some of the provisions available. So there are these frameworks in place which are really aimed at ensuring that no child is left behind and that children with disabilities also are really given this dignity, respect, and are really provided access to really thrive given their uniqueness. And for this, Auroville too can play a very important role in leveraging this kind of training, not only for teachers within Auroville, but also for teachers from across. Greetings to all of you in Auroville. I'm here today in a place called Silvassa, which is in the southern part of Gujarat. And there is a special center here for special learning needs, children with special needs, CWSN as it was called in the new education policy. And I'd like to show you some of the efforts that these teachers have done. I'm sure all of us, Auroville, are doing this with a lot of head, heart, and hands integrated into this effort of really reaching out to children. There is a lot of emphasis on all the different intelligences, as they refer to it as multiple intelligences. You see that there's something to do with knowledge. For example, there is things that children with intellectual disability like dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, by seeing all of this numbers on that side. You also see alphabets on various, which are displayed here, pictures, you see the alphabets on the ground. So if there are young children, repetitively they can see all of this. There's also options here for counting. They have numbers here with the fingers, they can count. And there are also all these balls and little things here for tactile stimulation of various kinds, because this also becomes very useful and important for children with these special needs. Similarly, you have devices here for stimulating their feet, their legs, and so on. But what is particularly interesting is, as we know, Harvard Gardner really spoke about multiple intelligences: verbal intelligence, numeric intelligence, musical intelligence, spatial intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, interpersonal intelligence, kinesthetic intelligence. And along with this, he also was very tempted to add something called spiritual intelligence. And this is what we do in Gujarat years ago under the able guidance of Professor Kirit Joshi, who was a former chairman of Auroville. He tried to bring in a program of Saptadhara. So those of you who understand Hindi or Sanskrit or Tamil or Indian languages will appreciate there's Gyan-dhara, Sangeet, Nritya-dhara, Natya-dhara, where you emote your various expressions, anger, fear, happiness, all those rasas and avarasas. Then there is also Rang, Kala, Kaushalya-dhara. There's Yog, Vyayam, Kelku-dhara, where you exercise your body in a state of yoga, as Sri Aurobindo said. But you also have Sarjanatmak Abhivyakti-dhara. How can you create something which is very, very new, something which expresses yourself, ability to create? It may not be something new, but a way of expressing your anger, your fears, your feelings, your anxiety and so on. But there is also finally Samuday Seva Dhara, just as this whole world, this whole community is about giving and sharing. How can we help others just as others help us? It's a world of giving and taking. So once again, I'm delighted that all our teachers are getting trained and we draw inspiration and learn from each other. There are a large number of teachers here who can come to Auroville to learn, and similarly, our teachers from Auroville can also come here on a visit and learn, because all of education is mutual, sharing, learning from each other, particularly now in the special area of children with special needs. So I wish you all the best. Namaste. Thank you.
Can I say one thing that I just clicked in my mind?
Yeah.
So in the video when ma'am was saying about learning from teachers and teachers coming over, our teachers going there, it's like I hope in future a proper a B.Ed program kind of thing comes up, like a B.Ed in special education with multiple disabilities or something, because Auroville is the perfect place for it. We have traditional schools, we have schools which focus on freedom of children in learning, and there are so many different varieties of things happening. I think it is such a wonderful playground where youngsters who want to get into this field of teaching can come, learn, explore these different things that are present, and I think it will be very inspiring and very enriching for a person who wants to get into teaching, and that too especially into special education. The way SLS is driving this forward and how they are taking care. I think you have few teachers taking care of so many things is very nice to see. The way it is, I think just that room, I remember one time seeing the way you organized all the teaching learning materials in that small room, and it has materials for so many different things like that. So I really hope in future it becomes a proper teacher training course where people can join and get a degree and just imbibe the culture of Auroville in their minds. So I really hope it happens in future.
Thank you, Radhakrishnan, for sharing that. I think that is the vision with which we have started. We started with short workshops, and we have slowly, gone towards a long 10 months program. And I hope, by this, once we will re-evaluate, review the whole process after the closing of this course, we will be able to build a proper module out of it and, take it forward and involve everybody's suggestions as well into it. So thank you so much. Anna, would you like to share something else, or we can proceed with today's presentation?
I think you can proceed. Thank you. Yeah. Move on.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we have other members also who were part of this program throughout. So I would like to thank each and everyone. Radhakrishnan is present today, Miss Wamika, Mr. Akhil, and Dr. Ida. There are so many, and some of you are already there in Auroville. So thank you for your consistent, presence and help and support and guidance. So taking back, let's go back to the session that we are going to, proceed with today. I'm going to start my screen sharing now.
I think you muted yourself, Pragya.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, now I think it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. So we were talking about, some of these basic ethics, and I'll quickly run through it because this was just a beginning and we have more to share. But I wanted for us to have a strong foundation before we really go ahead. And these are the foundations of all, professionals. The whole point of you being a layman and you being a professional is distinguished by you imbibing these ethics within yourself. You have the ethics of justice where you are able to understand what is fair. And again, it is a very subjective thing. What is fair cannot be distinguished by one person. It has to be very situational. It has to be also based on the policies of the place that you are in. It has to also take into consideration the norms. And so it is a very flexible concept, the concept of justice. But also, concept like justice in terms of rehabilitation and mental health also plays an important role, because based on that you determine to whom are you giving the disability percentage, how are you going to give concessions to somebody, how are you defining the benchmark disability, right? So that is why justice is an important concept, and again it is a very flexible concept. And we have to take into consideration that everybody gets same kind of treatment, equity. I cannot say equality, but equity in that way, that everybody is getting the opportunity, and nobody is discriminated in any way. And moving ahead to the next important pointer is our informed consent and veracity. The meaning of informed consent, I think we have discussed it multiple times. It means that you are not taking the decision for somebody else, but you are empowering them. You are enabling them to be able to come to a position from where they can take a well-informed decision. They are aware of the risk and the benefits, both the pros and the cons of taking whatever support you are going to offer to them. And what is the cost involved in it? How long is it going to take? Not making any false promises that, if you do it, you will suddenly heal or there will be a miraculous recovery. So not doing any such kind of false promises, but being very much true in your statements, something that can be verified with the progress, that is documented over the time. So that is very, very important. And usually whenever you are providing any services to children with special needs, that's why it's very important that the consent is taken. You cannot just start doing something without informing the parents, or not keeping every stakeholder in the loop. So that informed consent, and usually in all the proper professional setups, you will see always the consent forms are signed. The parents who are the legal guardian, if a person is below 18 years, they need to sign. They need to give that authority that yes, we can proceed with these kind of management plan. Similarly, confidentiality, we have discussed it time and again, but again, I would like to emphasize how important it is. That so that we are respecting the person, we are ensuring that the dignity is maintained, and there is no coffee table discussion about a person's special needs or their limitations, or using any labeling words in that way. So we have to be very careful and refrain from all of those things, and be very respectful, and know that a discussion can only happen without taking the names, in a very closed setup between professionals, or between parent and a professional, only when it is needed, and not making a gossip out of it, not using it lightly in any way. Fidelity, it is again an important concept where you are keeping the promises that you are making. You are making the commitments and then you are living by them. Not making any false promises, not just saying that, okay, this will happen. Suppose a child is facing a problem and you just tell them false promise that, okay, no problem, in few days your child will be adjusted in the class. But you don't know that. So instead of saying that, no, just give us 2 days and the child will be adjusted, you can just give them reassurance, but not make false promises. And there is a huge difference between those things, right? And we have discussed it in our previous session also, where we have talked about the art of communicating with the parents. And again, the most important thing is rights. And we are going to talk in detail about rights when we are talking about all these acts, and the meaning of right is important. And the meaning of rights is to ensure that at all the times you are protecting your client's right. In the concept of the rehabilitation ethics, the government of India, the Constitution of India, even internationally also, we have these rights which are universal human rights, which are being protected for all the persons, and especially there are certain rights for person with disabilities and person with mental illnesses. And we as professionals, as educators, as health professionals, as administrators need to be the advocate, need to be the safekeepers of these rights. So we have to ensure that those rights are not violated and people are getting what the Constitution offers to them. And the opposite of that is paternalism, in which instead of we letting the autonomy and the informed consent of the client, we try to dictate terms for them, and many a times not out of anything bad, not out of bad intentions, but out of over doing. Many a times we have this sense of over responsibility, and we try to start doing things for people instead of empowering them, right? And in that way, what happens is that you start deciding the goal for other people. You start telling that, okay, if the child is lagging behind in studies, in these 1 week you should be able to cover this much, or you are making the timetable for somebody else. So that is what where the problem lies. Instead of you taking the control, you have to enable the person to be able to designate and decide for themselves that how are they going to set the goals in their own lives, and you have to be a supporter. Just like how in Auroville schools also, as educators, you are not supposed to be a teacher, but you are rather a facilitator. So similarly, all of these are very important things to keep in mind. Now, these are some very basic human rights, these, which is also part of our Constitution. Right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, and right to constitutional remedies. Now, every person in India, or even people who are not citizens of India, but even visiting India, everybody universally is also eligible for all these rights, So, and further talking about some legal, some acts in the Constitution of India that ensure some specific rights for people with disabilities and mental illness. Here are some of these acts. And Dr. Jayanti Ravi ma'am has already talked about some of these, and we are going into the detail of each of these acts one by one. So I have started right in a chronological order. That first thing that happened in India was setting up of the RCI as a registered society. RCI stands for Rehabilitation Council of India. And then it slowly became a statutory body after the RCI Act got passed into the Parliament in 1992. And there is also an amendment in this Act which happened in 2000. See, these details are not so relevant to you as teachers. But I will still put it out so that at any point in your life, if you want to refer to that, or if you want to go deeper into policies making with respect to education and children with special needs or integrating mental health, these are important things. You can just refer them and go back to them. So having information about it is important. Aside to that, there is another so after 1986, which was like the starting point of when something started to happen in India with respect to mental health, with respect to children with special needs, then came the Mental Health Act in 1987, which is now overtaken by the Mental Health Care Act in 2017. So now Mental Health Care Act is the most important thing that we are going to discuss, right? And then in 1995 came the Persons with Disability Act, which is again taken over currently by Right of Persons with Disability Act 2016. So we will talk about how this is the revised version of the previous act. And like ma'am told, 21 disabilities are finally part of this amendment or this revision of this act, right? And earlier, less number of disabilities were there. And then comes the National Trust Act, NTA Act, which is especially for welfare for the persons of autism, cerebral palsy, mental retardation, which is ID, and multiple disabilities, which came in 1999. So we are going to one by one have a look into these. So the RCI Act is important for health professionals. Okay, especially for health professionals. Anna, do you want to say something?
No, it was very high volume, so I just reduced the volume. That's it. Sorry, I don't want to disturb.
Okay, no problem. So the RCI Act, why it is important? See, this is the order how these things came into picture. Okay, and it will be so interesting for you to see that it is education through which all these policies came into place. It was recommendation, especially for education of children with disabilities in regular school, that the Kothari Commission came. Then the Department of Social Welfare, initiated again. That is how even the concept of integral, inclusive education came into picture. And now Samagra Shiksha is also formulating, So that is the chronology of how things are moving. And had it not been the movement, had it not been that people would have emphasized the importance of bringing inclusive education in school setups, even such policies, broader policies might not have come into picture. Okay. So, see, the most important part of Rehabilitation Council of India is that it gives kind of, credibility to all the national institutes in India or even private institutes in India to run programs. And also it kind of organizes their courses, it checks their credibility, it has regular audits on how well these kind of training programs are being run. Okay, even like right now I'm pursuing this MPhil in clinical psychology. So the course has to be approved by RCI. Only certain institutions which are able to provide that quality of education are allowed to run such courses where they have a clinical, practice-based setup. So RCI is that organization that looks after all these kind of things are happening properly or not. Okay, it gives grants to different organizations. It also maintains this CRR number, Central Registration Rehabilitation Register, in which all the people who are having any professional education from RCI registered, institutions. And once suppose, like we have with us Radhakrishnan, so he is having a CRR number. He is a RCI registered special educator, right? So there is a credibility attached to it. So, and similarly, I have my own CRR number. So all the clinical psychologists, all the rehabilitation psychologists, all rehabilitation counselors, and even other professionals. And here is a list of 16 such professionals who get these kind of registration, Central Rehabilitation Registration, which includes even a speech therapist, and that includes even vocational counselors in rehabilitation settings, rehabilitation social workers, even orientation and mobility training, even prosthetics and orthopedics, right? So there are all these people who are working with people with disability. Any such professional who is directly working with people with disability, they are supposed to be registered with CRR. That is the constitutional law in a way. And if somebody is not and then they are practicing, then they are, not doing the right thing. But again, the shortage of the health professionals is so high in India that all these things exist. And that is why new education policy is again creating different alternatives by bringing in, lateral entries into courses, or increasing the number of institutions, right? So so this is important for you to know that, okay, if you're going to seek any kind of help from professionals, you can ask, are you a RCI registered, professional? Do you have a CRR number? You can also go and check it on their website, okay? So that is the meaning of RCI Act. So some of the main important thing that RCI is doing is that they are maintaining the quality of education, especially in the field of rehabilitation in India. And they regulate all these courses that are required to become all of these professionals that you see on your window, right? And they also check, how institutions are doing. They also make the syllabus, they also revise the syllabus, and they maintain these registers. And if anybody is doing any false practices, so revoking their registration, penalizing them, any crime that happens through in the purview of these professionals, all of that is also taken care in some way, taking into account this, right? So moving ahead from RCI to National Trust Act. So National Trust Act was formed in 1999, okay? And especially it takes into consideration these 4 disabilities: autism, cerebral palsy, intellectual disability, which was earlier called mental retardation, and multiple disabilities. And you remember that we have talked about when any 2 disabilities out of the 21 disabilities of RPWD Act, we call it as multiple disabilities, right? So this act especially is designed for these 4 disabilities, right? And again, through this act, through RCI Act and through National Trust Act, these institutions are also set as statutory bodies. Okay, so it is not just a concept, but they are also functioning bodies, right? And the most important part of National Trust Act is to safeguard, such children or people with disabilities, specifically these 4, especially in the case of the death of their parents. So providing the guardianship to such people with disabilities. And also, how do you appoint any other legal guardian or trustee when their own parents are not there? This is an important, role of National Trust Act. And then, separate to these specific roles, it also takes care of providing all kind of equal opportunities to PWDs, all these 4 kind of PWDs, by having different schemes, okay? So it through all of those policies, through all of those schemes, the main objective of NDA is that people with disabilities, these 4 specific disabilities, are able to be independent as much as possible. And they are included in part of the community. You have to also understand it from the time perspective. The time this act came, people were excluded and they were not part of the community. So the whole point of this act was how to involve them in the community living, how to make sure that they are getting equal opportunities, how their rights are protected, how there is equal participation, and also who is going to do it. So there are certain organizations which are registered organizations under NDA who gets aid and support from NDA, funds from them to take care of all of those things throughout the country, right? So supporting those registered organizations and then appointing the legal guardians, right? So these are some of the important objectives. So these 4 are the only disabilities that come under National Trust Act, right? We have talked about all of these disabilities in detail in our previous session, so I'm not going into the detail, right? So the concept of guardianship came for the first time through NDA, because before that, suppose a person with mental illness is there is legal dispute, there is property related dispute, a lot of problems were used to occur because of that. So in that capacity, the concept of guardianship came, that they are a legally, assigned person who can take care of the property until the person is 18 years of age. And after that, the person can themselves take care of it. Or again, if they are not in the capacity to be decision makers, then again, a provision is there for that. Okay, now these are important schemes. These are 8 important schemes that come under National Trust Act. And it's very important for us to be aware of this, because see, schemes are there in place. Right from 1999, these schemes are there. But how many of us know about it? That's the sad part. That there are so many policies, there is so much that government is already doing. But the knowledge of it is very scarce, especially the people who have to benefit from it. It is not coming, it is not reaching to them. So it's very important for us to be educated about these things, so that then whoever is needful can also benefit from it through us, right? So these are some specific schemes. Disha is a scheme which is especially for children 0 to 10 years of age, where they are given school readiness training. So it is kind of early intervention, where you are, training them in their ADLs, training them in their adaptive behaviors, toilet control, toilet training, and basic literacy, learning to hold pencil. Because with children with special needs, that developmental milestones are so delayed, they will need extra support and more time in learning those kind of skills, right? So Disha is this kind of early intervention school readiness scheme. Then comes Vikas, which is daycare center, where in certain cases, when parents don't have the capacity to invest full time with the children, and they have to go for their own work, they have to win the bread and butter for the family, Vikas kind of daycare centers are again available through this scheme, where people can send their children or their family members for daycare facility. And then throughout the day, they can have the time and the quality of life for themselves. And also in that time, the people will get required training in the daycare center, right? So it helps the family members to share the burden, to share the responsibility of taking care of these 4 types of person with disabilities. Then comes Samarth, which is Respite Care Center. So Samarth is a scheme which is especially for below poverty line group, right? Where if there are any kind of people who have been abandoned by their family, or they are below poverty line and they cannot support the burden of disability, of their loved one in their family, then in such case, there is a home, respite home, where they can also admit their loved ones and they can live there, right? And all their basic amenities are taken care of. They are given good quality of life that is even ensured, and whatever rehabilitation is needed, even that is provided. Okay, because so many times these situations arise. Many a times people are not in the capacity to take care, and they might just abandon the family member. So in such case, National Trust Act ensure that nobody is left on their own, but there is such service available. Then there is a service of Gharonda, which is group home for adults, right? So what if somebody is already an adult, right, and they don't have a living situation? So in that case, group homes are made available, where people can live in a community setup, and again, all the kind of basic medical support, rehabilitation, interventions are also provided to them. Some basic vocational skill training is also provided. So everything is given under the one roof through this scheme to adult people with these 4 kind of disabilities. Then the fifth scheme is Niramaya. Niramaya is again a fabulous scheme. It is for health insurance, and a lot of people are getting benefit out of it, right? Where people can get health insurance up to rupees 1 lakh. And not only the IPD, but even OPD things are covered, which is a beautiful blessing of this insurance scheme. Because usually in any kind of insurance schemes, you will see only the inpatient. When you are admitted to the hospital, only that kind of care is taken. But in this, even the outpatient, regular fees, which is anyway very minimal in government hospitals, the fees of the medicines, any kind of everything is taken into care, right? So just people knowing that this is there is so important, because government is already giving that benefit. So it's our responsibility that this reaches out. Then there's a scheme called SAIIER, where even the caregivers, the family members are given training how to provide the adequate rehabilitation support or the caring support that is needed at home, especially in community setup or in their own homes. Because not everybody can afford a nurse or a physiotherapist or a speech therapist. So how to make them as co-therapists, how to train them into certain skill sets is how SAIIER scheme also is in place. Okay. Then comes Gyan Prabha, educational support, where there is some kind of scholarships given, some kind of monetary support is given to again these four kind of students with disabilities, especially for their vocational and professional trainings, right? So that they can get equal opportunity for employment. They can gain the soft skills and the technical skills that are required. And so even funding for their transportation, buying books, all of those things are covered under this scheme, which is Gyan Prabha. And then comes Prerna, which is marketing assistance, which means if suppose a person is able to learn some basic skills, suppose a person with autism or ID, with moderate ID, is able to learn candle making, is able to learn flower pressing and making cards out of it, or making envelopes, or making any simple things like that. Then what do you do with it? How are you going to sell it? How are you going to create profit out of it? So a scheme like Prerna is also in place, which helps all these organizations which are registered under National Trust Act to give a certain kind of monetary support for taking all these things and going and selling it out. So maybe setting up a stall in a exhibition, national level exhibition, state level exhibition, so that funds can be generated out of it. Okay. So these are some of the schemes which comes under National Trust Act. Okay. You can further learn more about it, and you can take up some initiative of educating others, maybe preparing a soft board in SLS, preparing a soft board in a community area in Auroville, maybe in SAIIER itself, where relevant schemes in related information are available, and that kind of initiative would be really, really useful. And then, of course, it can be also extended to people beyond Auroville, maybe to Pondicherry, then to even Chennai and around places. Now, before we go to other acts, Mental Health Care Act or Right to Person with Disability Act, I want to briefly talk about United Nations Conventions on the Right of Persons with Disability. Okay, so this is a universal and again a international document. Basically, it's a treaty which is signed by multiple countries, and there are, as you can see, there are 161 signatories of this preamble. So 161 countries have already signed this convention, where 161 countries agree that we want to follow the provisions to ensure that people with special needs are given equal opportunities and their rights are protected. Right? And India is also a signatory of this. And only after signing this, like in 2007, after that, certain changes also came in our policies, and out of the result of that, we have this Mental Health Care Act, the revised version of it, and even the Right to Person with Disability Act, the revisions in it. Because if all the countries who were the signatory of this convention, then they were supposed to implement all the things that are being talked about in this. Okay, so it is an international treaty. It is a comprehensive human rights convention, and for the international development of tools, and it is an important part of disability rights movement, right? So it was part of it, and through the policies that are being talked about in the United Nations Conventions on the Rights of Persons with Disability, the whole disability rights movement continues even today. Okay, and again, the most important part of this is that it is not for the people, but it is with the people, right? So all human rights are universal, they are indivisible, they are interdependent, and they are interrelated. The most important thing, that it is universal. You cannot say that a person will get certain rights in India but not in Australia. It is universal. It is indivisible. You cannot further try to divide it. You cannot say ki maybe little bit I'll give, but not this much I can give. This is the basic. This is the primary unit. You cannot further cut down. There is no point of negotiation. This is what it is. So it is indivisible. It is interdependent. Everything is interdependent. You cannot say that I'll give you equality, but I'll not give you, protection, or I'll give you autonomy, but not dignity. Everything is interdependable. You have to make sure that everything flows, into each other, and it is interrelated, right? One thing leads to the another. So if you are not ensuring the equality, equal participation, dignity, then you cannot talk about the empowerment. It will not happen. So everything is interrelated, right? So that is the most important concept. And why we are discussing, because this is going to flow in all other acts that now onwards we will talk about. Now this concept of cross disability is again important, which also came in a picture from here, okay? Which means that different disabilities are taken care together. A person having visual impairment can also have mental illness, right? A person with cerebral palsy can also have intellectual disability and physical disability, right? So how cross disability is this different disabilities coming together and we designing resources to take care of everything together. So if you will see all these different national institutes, they are the centers for cross disabilities, right? So which also include not only different impairments, but also not having any distinction in terms of their social background, religious background, cultural background. So giving same kind of opportunity. Okay. And so the purpose of this whole is to promote, protect, and ensure the full and equal employment of all human rights, fundamental freedoms of all people with disability, and to promote respect for their inherent dignity, right? So just not doing any cruelty against them is not enough. We also need to ensure that they are having equal respect, dignity, and they are able to also enjoy the life. They also are able to feel satisfied in life. Okay. So nothing about us without us. That is the most important thing. So after this thing came into picture, a strong advocacy came into light that how can we design policies for PWDs without having them into the policy making? How can somebody else, tell or talk about it without having their say into it? So after that, equal participation started to be given to PWDs even in policy making. And after that, you have seen that this whole concept of reservation of PWDs in government, even government jobs, in government positions, in even higher education came into picture, that you need to bring them forward, right? So there are some of these important rights that this convention talks about. Equality before the law without discrimination, right to life, liberty, security of the person, recognition before the law and legal capacity, freedom from torture, freedom from exploitation, violence, abuse, right to respect physical and mental integrity, freedom to movement and nationality, right to live in the community, freedom to expression and opinion, respect for privacy, respect for home and the family, right to education, right to work, right to health, right to adequate standard of living, right to participate in political and public life, and right to participation in cultural life. Right? So it's not just not doing torture on them, but also having equal participation and inclusion in even public life, in even activities of leisure, like we have our Paralympics now, right? We have all these cultural activities where even Divyang people are promoted and given equal opportunities, right? So there are so many aspects like this picture talks about. Okay. Now we are going to talk about Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act. So like we told that in 1995, the first act came and then it got superseded by Right to Persons with Disability Act in 2016. And again, the whole purpose of this act was to imbibe the principles that we have signed as part of conventions on the rights of persons with disability. Right? This, as India became the signatory of UNCRPD, after that, this act came into picture to incorporate all these different acts, all these rights that we just listed, to incorporate those different rights as part of the Constitution of India, to safeguard it legally, not just to talk about it. We are not just preaching it, but we are enforcing it with law. We are making it a criminal offense if you are not doing it. So that happened through this. Okay. The whole concept of benchmark disability is specific to Right to Person with Disability Act, and there are 21 disabilities, and I know that we have already discussed this previously, right? So you remember that we have also talked about the disability percentage. So when we are saying anybody having disability percentage of 40% or above, then only we are saying the person comes into benchmark disability. Right? Sadly, below it, even if a person has 35% disability, they are not part of benchmark disability. Okay? They might still be able to enjoy all the rights of Mental Health Care Act or Right to Person with Disability Act. But the special provisions that are there, the special policies and concessions like of reservation or certain kind of benefits that are only reserved for PWD with benchmark disabilities. Okay, so that is a distinction. And again, there could be a whole debate about why the criteria is 40%, why not less than that, or what happens with people with less than that. But again, the population of India is huge, and in order to give the benefits to the people who need it the most, this kind of policy is made. Okay. And so physical disabilities, you all know, we have discussed it so many times. These are different types of physical disabilities, then intellectual disability, SLD, autism, and in mental illnesses, we have specifically under this, you remember last time we discussed, we have only 4 disabilities that are counted in benchmark disability for disability certification. What are those 4 disabilities for mental illness? Can anybody tell? There were only 4 disabilities for which we give disability certification, and I think I've discussed it last time. Anybody remembers?
Intellectual disability, ID,
Yeah, so intellectual disability is ID, then autism, SLD, right? These 3 are coming in intellectual disability, point number 2. What about point number 3? In mental illness, what are there are only 4 disabilities, 4 mental disorders for which you get a disability certificate. Only 4. What are those? Anybody remembers? You want to make any guess? See, intellectual disability, all of those are neurodevelopmental disorders with children. But for adults, what kind of this mental illnesses for adults do get disability certification?
Bipolar disorder or schizophrenia.
Right? Yes. So 2 of them are BPAD, bipolar affective disorder, schizophrenia, and then OCD and dementia. Only those 4 conditions, as per Government of India, gets a disability certificate when it comes to mental illness, when it comes to psychological illness for adults. Aside to these neurodevelopmental disorders, which would be lifelong, which would be through childhood, through their early age. Right? So only those 4 disorders in that you can get disability certificate. And then comes other neurological disorders and blood disorders and also multiple disabilities. Right? So we have discussed this many times before. Now, going forward, Mental Health Care Act. Now, this is again an important act. See, most of the time in our sessions with all of you, we have focused more on neurodevelopmental disorders, on children with ID, autism, SLD, or even any other kind of neurodevelopmental or congenital disorders like cerebral palsy, epilepsy. But there can be other conditions also which are not neurodevelopmental, which are not arising right from the beginning of the child. But later on, children can also develop in adolescence age different kind of mental health concerns. And in today's world, this is happening very fast, at very fast pace. Later on, if we have time, if we are able to go to that slide, there is a slide where even in India, as per our last statistics, last consensus statistics, there is the highest number of population in India who are having disabilities, including mental illnesses or neurodevelopmental. The bracket is of adolescents up till 19 years of age. So that is the age where children are usually in school. They are not in professionals. They are not already working or in higher educations. They are mostly in schools or in graduation, doing their graduation in maybe colleges. So it's very important that quality health care is provided in our schools and education setup. Because by the time they reach to us as adults, then already the illness has set its foot deep in them. And no prevention is given and no early intervention is given. And that is a sad, I would say, opportunity where we can work on. Right? So it's very, very critical that even quality healthcare is provided in a school setup for mental illnesses also, in school and in college setup. Because any kind of these even consider like things like OCD, which is considered as disability, for which government is giving a disability certificate. If you will look into the onset of that illness, it is usually taking place in adolescence. Right? So many of these illnesses are early onset, and if you can track them early and if you can give early intervention, then that would be really, really helpful. It can play a very significant role in even eliminating the whole burden of this system, or burden of this whole disability on the entire system. Because a person, once they become functionally, incapable because of these things, it is a big challenge for everybody, right? So that is very important that even our schools and colleges are aware about this. Okay. So this act especially talks about how everybody has a right to access to mental health care. Just like we say that everybody has right to access to education and health, it's not only physical health, it's also mental health. So this act is there to ensure that nobody is denied or is deprived from mental health care services. Nobody is deprived from getting the right information about their own diagnosis, about the treatment protocol. You cannot just keep them admitted in a hospital against their will. So all of these things used to happen. These were the malpractices in the healthcare professional. And not only in India, but all of this started long time back in US when the whole institutionalization movement started, where we thought that hospitals are a good place where you can just put everybody. But when the number of people started increasing and the funds were not sufficient, the quality of care was not appropriate. And those similar models were also recreated in all other developing countries, including India in the beginning. And again, same ill practices, percolated. So to check those, this kind of Mental Health Care Act had to come in place. Okay, right to access medical health records. So again, this act gives this right to person with mental illness and their families that a medical hospital, psychiatric hospital cannot tell you that you cannot have the access to your records. If you want it, you can have the access to all your records. Okay, right to confidentiality and restriction on release of information on mental illness. Suppose a person is going through certain mental illness, but it needs to be confidential between the client and the health professional. Okay, they cannot go and tell maybe their spouse or their professional work colleagues. Even if they inquire, they cannot tell, that what is the diagnosis and things like that, until the person is giving that kind of permission. So that cannot, so keeping into account that not only this is ethical, but this is also a law. You cannot breach it. You are legally binded. You can have consequences, legal, penal consequences if you're not taking care of it. So when we loosely say, and that is why so many times in all our, sessions, we would have also emphasized that you as educators cannot diagnose and label children, or loosely talk about children, like that, because it is also their legal right, and people can exercise their legal right. And literally, if a school is denying education or confidentiality is breached, then there could be legal consequences for that. Okay, so that's not just a matter of values, morality, or ethics, but it is beyond that. Then right to equality and non-discrimination, right to free legal aid. So any person who is having even benchmark disability or benchmark mental illness, they are free to have legal aid. If they don't even have financial support, then government will give them the government lawyer, to fight their case in such cases. Right to make complaints about deficiency in provision of services. So many times, again, it's we don't admire or we don't appreciate people giving their feedbacks or complaints. But again, it is not about your liking or disliking. It is their right to tell you that, see, I did not like the way this, my family was treated. And you need to respect that. You need to take those complaints into consideration and you need to act on those feedbacks and bring certain changes. Otherwise, again, that can be penalized. Okay, and I'm telling this to you because you need to be empowered. You as citizens of India, all of us need to be empowered about these are our rights, because within us only are people who have any kind of disabilities, our family members or ourselves are the people, our community members, our parents, or children in our schools, parents, are the people who might be going through these things. So we need to be the people who are able to tell other people about, see, these are the rights, these are the constitutional rights that is protecting us, ensuring these things. Okay, the right to protection from cruel, inhuman and degrading treatment. Right? Even taking their own decisions, that if they don't want to be admitted in a hospital, then it is their decision and that needs to be respected. There is a concept of advance directive, which is a part of Mental Health Care Act, which says that if a person is not in the capacity to take decision, then again, in the beginning of the healthcare or whenever, right from the beginning, again a guardian can be assigned who is going to be, using all these rights of the person with mental illness on their behalf. They can then go and ask for medical records. They can ask for any kind of accountability, any kind of information. So through advance directive, that again a guardianship and a trustee kind of a situation can take place, where another person who is in case of a minor or in case where they are not, maybe due to treatment or if the disease progress, they won't be able to take the decisions. Because see, when the schizophrenia is in remission, person can take their decisions. But if it is fully blown state, they might not be in the right insight and judgment to take their own decisions. Right? So in that case, they, in their rightful state, when they are assigning somebody else to take their decisions, then that is a part of advance directives. Mental Health Care Act also decriminalizes suicide. Until this 2017, suicide was a criminal offense. People used to say that if somebody attempted to die by suicide, and if they were not dead, then instead of getting the support that was needed, they were criminally charged because it was an offense. But Mental Health Care Act has decriminalized suicide because it considers it as a mental illness. And instead of penalizing the person for the state of mind they are in, it gives the it advocates adequate mental health support for them. Okay, so that is again an important part of Mental Health Care Act. Not being able to, people with mental illness not to be chained in any institution no matter what. They cannot be sterilized against their will. They cannot be stopped from starting their own family, if they want to. All of these are part of, they cannot be given ECT, electroconvulsive therapy. You might have seen in ancient, all these old films in India where people were given this electric shocks, right? So electroconvulsive therapy is a treatment which is used for specific disorders in specific severity levels, but it has to be given through a specific protocol. And earlier, people with mental illness were not even given anesthesia and directly given those shocks, which was inhuman. So now there is a provision that they have to be given certain anesthesia, certain kind of medications, only then that can be given, and only in specific cases and not to the children. Right? So certain kind of policies related to mental health care came into place only through Mental Health Care Act. Okay? So, and Mental Health Care Act not only talks about mental illnesses, it also emphasizes on improving the healthcare. Okay, not only mental, so the last act was Mental Health Act, but the word care has been added in mental health care. So not only we are advocating mental health, but we are also talking about how to take care of mental health through this act. So even the preventive strategies, promotion of health is also important part of this act, where a lot of funding and a lot of provisions are also ensured for that kind of services in primary healthcare, where people are to be educated so that they can be protected against developing mental illnesses. There is preventive measures. Okay. Now, I think on in next 10 minutes we can take a break. At 11 we'll take a break. So I'll also run through some of these things quickly. So these were some of the laws that are as per the Constitution of India. Okay. Now, what is the current understanding or the picture of disabled people in India? So that is, see, it is a very difficult topic, not only for India but everywhere, because population is exponentially growing, and to take a keep a track of it, that how many people are there in our whole population, is such a difficult thing. It's unbelievable. Can you imagine how difficult it is? How much resource, energy, time, longitudinally is needed for such activities. So the last census data is here with us from 2011. So the total differentially abled population in India is 26.8 million. Okay, so see, so many times we have talked about that we don't see enough people with disability around us, sadly. Right? Even though they are there. And even as per the registered census data, there are 26.8 million people. Of course, with respect to the entire population, it is a small chunk because our population is so huge. So it is only 2.21% of the entire population. But even the 2.21% of the entire population is 26.8 million people. And the kind of shortage that we have in terms of the healthcare professionals is huge. So it's very, very important that we try to take as much of baby steps as possible in all the directions to bridge this gap. Okay, so in last 10 years, like in 2001 when the census happened, and then in 2011, data shows little increase in the population of disabled people from 21.9 million to 26.8 million. Okay, and with respect to the ratio in terms of gender, male and female, there is more men with disabilities, 14.9 million men and 11.9 million women in the country with disability as per the data. The total number of differently abled people is overall 18 million in rural area and 8.1 million in urban area. So again, the disabilities burden is more towards the rural area. So the need of initiatives that need to be taken, the healthcare initiatives, and that is why a lot of emphasis is being paid by the government in that direction. All this concept of primary healthcare, ASHA workers, A&M workers, Anganwadi programs, they are so much dedicated towards it. The whole concept of community-based rehabilitation is so much dedicated to it. The percentage of men with disabilities is 2.41% as against 2.01. And then social group wise, also if you will consider with respect to SC, ST data, then again more number of people with SC and ST people are there. 2.45% is the total, whereas 2.05% is for ST. Sorry, for SC, and 2.18 is for ST. Okay. Now this is important for us just to know, because we are all citizens of India, we are part of living in India, and we are part of the Indian system. That who is the ministry? Which are these ministries who are running all these programs, schemes that we are talking about? Okay. So the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment is the ministry, okay, which usually is responsible for PWDs. And the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment especially has Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities. Okay, so this Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disability is specifically dedicated to take care of everything related to PWDs. Like, these policies are in place, but who is going to implement, who is going to do different things by utilizing these guidelines? That is the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities. Under this department, there are again 9 national institutions. One of that is NIPSID in Chennai, which is National Institute for the Empowerment of Persons with Multiple Disabilities. Right? So all these national institutes, where I am pursuing my MPhil currently in Dehradun, it is also a national institute under this Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities. And aside to these 9 national institutes across India, catering to specific disabilities, there are again different regional centers as well, district level centers and other regional centers. Okay, so very detailed and very structured way of work is happening. But again, with the huge population that we have, it is always challenging. Okay. Then Ministry of Health and Family Welfare is another ministry. See, disabilities is like we talked about, it has to be always cross-sectoral. So multiple sectors have to come together to, to enable people with disabilities. So not only the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, but even Ministry of Health and Welfare, because ultimately it is a part of health. Even Ministry of Education, which is now also known as Ministry of Human Resource Development in India, and Ministry of Women and Child Development. These are the ministries which play hand in hand. They come together for different policy making, for different implementation of strategies, for even running different course and curriculums or training programs. So they have to come together. And can you imagine how challenging all of this is for different even ministries to come together, collaborate, design, and then come to agreement. But still, fabulous kind of initiatives are being taken in that direction. That is commendable. Okay. So I think I'll take a break here before we go into these schemes. So yeah, I'll just stop here. Okay.
You have some.
Yeah, let's take a 5 to 10 minute break if you want.
There is some tea, but just remember that at 12, that is not going to be so far. We will have a sharing for everyone, so there will be some little snacks, and so at this time there is some tea just to refresh and feel warm in this weather.
Okay.
Tomorrow is your birthday?
So can we continue or already? So Pragya, you can continue just a few seconds that everyone sits.
I think you can arrange this screen. I know today's session is very theoretical. It must be very boring for you because it is not.
Not at all, has been quite good.
Yeah, but yeah, that is the thing. Today's topic is such that it's more of just information than more of discussion. But I'll try to keep it short now. I'll quickly go through the schemes and then rather we can have a little bit of discussion towards the end. Okay. So I will screen share now.
You can start.
Right. Okay. So, see, we have talked about these different acts in the Constitution of India. Then we have also tried to understand different rights that these acts are ensuring. Now, see, we all understand that Constitution is the fundamental scripture of a democratic country. But how do we implement that in practice is through different government schemes. So there are different government schemes in place. Like I told you, these different departments of different ministries under them. And these, like one of them is LMCO, which is Artificial Limbs Manufacturing Corporation of India. Now this LMCO, so I will not go into the detail of it, but I can share maybe a list of this or a compilation of a document. If somebody is interested, they can further go into elaborate understanding of these things. But see, LMCO is like again a national body which is responsible for development of eggs, prosthetic, arms, and all the other different kind of some other. So basically, prosthetic arms and body parts is developed by LMCO in India. Sometimes they can have some collaborations with some companies as well, but usually it is not done in private sector in India. It is done through LMCO itself, and again there are different centers throughout India where in a very subsidized price these things are made available. And again, all national institute have a specific center for LMCO and ADIP. So LMCO is especially for prosthetics, and ADIP, as you see, point number 4, which is assistance to disabled persons for purchase and fitting of aids and appliances, is for all kind of assistive technologies, all different kind of assistive technologies that are present. Such as if somebody needs a cochlear implant, hearing aid, or cane to walk for a person with visual impairment. So different other, or even wheelchairs, or any kind of accommodations that are done to the normal vehicles, motor vehicles for people with locomotor disability. All of that happens through this. So, and again, there are provisions for subsidized rate or very less price for people based on their economic income range. If their monthly income is less than certain, different policies, different schemes will have different criteria. And if a person is meeting those criteria, then specific loans can be given or subsidized rates given for different things. Similar organization is National Handicap Finance and Development Corporation. So NHFDC is again a national organization that gives financial support to persons with disabilities to start up their own business. So they give financial supports in the form of loans, even some kind of rebate on the land concession. On a high level of concession, people can buy land even for agriculture, or to start up any kind of, factory, business. And there is double benefit given to even people with double disabilities. Like a female with disability will get more profit through these schemes because they are more marginalized. So such kind of policies are there. And then there is Deen Dayal Disabled Rehabilitation Scheme. Under this scheme, there are so many more schemes which are taking which are taking care of all these different rights that we have talked about. So to ensure equality, right to employment, work, education, different again subsidies and schemes are present under this scheme also. Then SIDDA is a scheme for implementation of Persons with Disability Act. So this whole act that we discussed, Persons with Disability Act, that came in 1995, the first one. When this act came, came into constitution, it became an act. After that, SIDDA was developed for the implementation of that act in the grassroots level. So whenever an act is made, it's not enough. It has to be implemented in some ways at the grassroots level. So these different schemes are made. Another such is a scheme in Accessible India campaign, which is Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan, which means making all the infrastructure in India accessible. So as per this scheme, the whole concept of universal design, which is an international concept, it is a universal concept, is implemented in accordance with the Indian culture and ethos. So they have used the whole universal concept, but they have also tried to incorporate certain culture and country specific unique features to Accessible India campaign, through which it is ensured that all the infrastructures, all the transportation, all the programs and all the kind of communication is accessible to everybody. So there can be four things. Either you will sell any product or service to somebody. A person with disability will either need a product or service, either they will need to be at a place, either they will need to communicate in a certain way, okay, or to travel. So for that, transportation, commute. So all those four things are ensured. We have to ensure that all of those four things, communication, service, product, and this whole infrastructure is included in it, and transportation. All of these things are accessible. When we say communication, it means all the websites need to be accessible. So this, voice enable feature in the websites are there, magnifying the font, language flexibility, all of those things are part of Universal Design Initiative, and all Government of India and even central and state government websites, any kind of information that is being circulated from the government side needs to be accessible as per this initiative. So all public buildings you will see need to be accessible. You cannot say that I don't want it, or I don't like it, or I like it this way. Nobody has a choice to say such things. As per these schemes, it is mandatory for any public place. If it is not your personal space, if it is a bus stop, if it is a movie theater, if it is an ATM, any place where anybody is supposed to go needs to be accessible. You cannot say that why ramp is not there. There is no reason for it. Even in Auroville, we cannot have any reason for it. Everything needs to be accessible. So awareness generation and publicity schemes. So there are different schemes which are also responsible for generating awareness for these schemes. So even the schemes are there. Then even research on disability related technology, products and issues is an important part of government related welfare initiatives. Even research is for assistive technology. Like nowadays, even new kind of canes are being coming. new kind of audio, even devices are coming, and a lot of research has to go into it. But how are you designing? How are you integrating the needs of the person with disability, and not designing from your point of view, but designing from their point of view? That is a whole component of design, the principle of design, that you don't do what you want, but you take into consideration what is universal and also what is serving the needs and the purpose of the person. So all of those things. So huge grants are being given by government to national institutions like IITs, IIT Delhi, IIT Chennai. They are doing very good work, especially in the field of assistive technology. And again, they are cross-sectoral work, because you have to indulge and involve people with disabilities in the process of engineering and designing. Then a scheme for implementation of so this is again the same SIPDA related. Then district disability rehabilitation centers. So like I told you, not only there are national centers, there are district disability rehabilitation centers also. And I would also request you all to find out more about it for your own districts and your own state as well. Right, because every state in India is divided into multiple districts. And every district is also supposed to have district disability rehabilitation centers, where again, all the services need to be provided from top to down. And all the information, all the support needs to be also provided to the people. So the most easiest or the closest point of contact for communities, individuals, professionals could be through this channel. So exploring the possibilities. Then this UDID card is the most important, one of the most important things right now, which is, we have already discussed last time, that there is a unique disability ID project right now going on in India. I think in 2016 it started, if I'm not wrong, but I might be. As per this whole concept of disability certification and UDID card are interrelated. Disability certification used to happen before that also, but UDID card has started after that. And through UDID card, just like your Aadhaar card, just like your PAN card, you get a card based upon your disability certificate. And that gives you a unique identification number based on your disability, the name of your disability and the percentage of your disability. And then that can be used at any other place wherever these different concessions or accommodations or different benefits of the schemes need to be taken. So without that, you might not be able to avail those. So it is very important that assessment happens properly, disability certificate is made, and then UDID card, that registration happens. So just like any other kind of, like Aadhaar is the registration for you as citizen of India, ID is the registration of you as a person with disability or Divyang in India. So even in the future, whatever policies will come, whatever provisions will come, whatever benefits will come, only those people who have UDID will be able to benefit from them. So it's very, very important that whoever you know has is a person with disability, even if they are elder and maybe earlier they didn't knew about it, they never got themselves tested, assessed, or didn't had a proper, disability certification done. Even later on, at any point in their life, they can go and get it done and get themselves disability certificate, percentage, and UDID registration. So it's very important. Then also to educate other people, because sometimes, especially for neurodevelopmental disorders, parents are very apprehensive about their children. That I don't want the pain of accepting that their child has a permanent disability is very big, and there could be a lot of denial and resistance. But even to educate them that why this is important and why this is the right of the person with disability, and you cannot take away that right from them, even though you might have a sense of denial or rejection towards it. But since government and constitution giving them certain rights, they are entitled to benefit from them. So they need to be educated and supported in a certain way that they are able to get those certifications done for their children as well. Okay. And based on these, high level of disability percentage, permanent disability percentage people get pensions also. When it comes that they cannot be, occupationally, functionally self-sustained, then in those cases, government gives also certain kind of monetary support to PWDs. Then government also has now initiated corporate social responsibilities, right? CSR responsibilities. As per CSR, even all these private companies, all these, even big, small, any kind of private companies, first of all, they are supposed to have these corporate social responsibility related, certain funding needs to go in that direction, certain percentage, certain initiatives company need to take. And through that, if they are employing PWDs, then specific concessions and benefits are given by government to those private organizations. Not only government is giving reservations to PWDs, but they are also supporting private organizations by giving monetary benefits that they should also employ and give equal opportunity to PWDs. Okay, then there are certain scholarship schemes at all levels, from high school to even higher education till PhD level. There are different scholarships, and people are given monetary support aside to having specific reserve seats in higher education for PWDs. The national funds for persons with disabilities. So certain funds are also allocated for specific provisions for PWDs. National Award for the Employment. Yes, I think this we discussed earlier, Finance and Corporate Development Corporation. Yeah, and reservations, right? So all of these are schemes, and there are multiple more schemes, and you will have to read them very thoroughly. You will have to go in detail of it to understand, because there are different provisions, there are different age bracket, there are different income bracket, based on which they can take benefit of such schemes. There are certain skill development related projects again. So National Action Plan under SIBDA is offering such schemes. Vocational training courses are there under again NHFDC. Then there is this Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, under which again skill development projects are there. And again they are very nominal or free of cost. And through that people can get a proper skill development, and they also ensure some kind of career support like placements and things like that. Ministry of Labour and Employment supervising 24 vocational rehabilitation centers. So there are 24 vocational rehabilitation centers for handicaps. Now they are called as National Career Service Centers. So people can reach out 24 National Career Service Centers and try to see what kind of schemes are available, what kind of programs, short term or long term, PWDs can take, and then become vocationally empowered. Like currently where I study, our institute is specialized for visual impaired people. So here they have a special radio jockey training course going on that I am familiar of. They have multiple more. They have coding related such vocational training course. They have like when we are talking about skilled labor or vocations, then these are the even musical instrument related proper diplomas, and different again computer operating systems like different versions of Tally and things, which is called JAWS, I think, for visually impaired. So the different software related trainings. So such things are there. More than 10,000 ITIs and approximately 1,000 employment exchange programs are there. Okay. Then, yeah, national urban livelihood, rural livelihood schemes are there. And then the government is also collaborating with various NGOs also to reach out to the grassroots level and give those kind of benefits. And especially for education purpose, then all these boards, CBSE, ICSE, have specific concessions, again based on the disability of the child and disability percentage. They give specific concessions and specific accommodations, like removal of the third language, or giving extra time, giving a scribe, if there is writing related issue, or suppose a person has visual impairment, then a scribe can be given. So those accommodations are also present. And again, people with benchmark disability gets specific benefits. Even people with borderline disabilities, like 20%, 25% disability, not having borderline, in the case of intellectual disability, is also getting benefits in Indian education system. So I think, yeah, that is where I'll end our today's discussion, like this sharing, and we can have some discussion around it. So, was it a very heavy session? How do you feel? Do you feel okay? Too much of information? I think it was important for you to know at least these many things exist. And this is again just tip of the iceberg. Right? So again, there will be a lot more things in detail. I have not covered everything. These are some of the things which came to my mind or which were most easily available, or I could just integrate in my PPT. But so it's important, I feel, for all of us to know that these provisions are there, so that we can also find ways to benefit from them, whoever can.
Okay, can I ask a question, Pragya?
Yeah, please go ahead.
I have two questions. The first one is, I mean, we have kind of similar stuff in Germany, and it's always a fight to get what you have the right for in Germany. You really, literally, sometimes you really have to fight with these people, you accuse these people. It's not a nice thing, it's a lot of work. So I'm interested, how is it in India? Do the parents or the teachers or whoever is taking care, is it also this you have to fight for your right? Or is it easy going?
I would say the biggest problem in India is lack of awareness. Even before they having to fight, people don't even know that something like this is there. So one thing is, there is a lot of lack of awareness, and because of that, the level of fight is right now little limited as per my understanding, because not many people know about it. So whoever knows is able to go and take the benefit out of it. With more time, I would say, little bit of more time, little bit in future, it will become very, very difficult, because resources are limited, and so far government is promoting all of those things. So government is giving it, the government is calling that come and take it, and people don't know it. So right now that much of fight is not there. In fact, we are going to interior places to have camps and to educate them and then to give them certificates, and government is also promoting it. But I think in the future, because even the number of disabled population is also increasing. And as the awareness is increasing, even more professionals are increasing. Then it will become more and more difficult because the budget allocation is very limited still. Budget allocation, I think, in all the countries is kind of similar, where most of the budget goes to military, especially countries where the borders are not very secure. Right. So the kind of funding that goes to education or welfare or health is very less in countries where there are, such crises, and a lot of funding goes to military or other things. So in that comparison, people also, the kind of benefits that are there, they are marginal. They are not so huge, like in terms of concessions. But yeah, the schemes for employability or uplifting, those are good schemes. Like if people are really able to benefit from them, then those are huge opportunities. That is really giving a jump start to PWDs because of whatever they might have suffered in their life, and because hindrances and barriers, these kind of reservations, like one seat in every education institution. Like in my current course, I have 7 seats only of MPhil's clinical psychology. Only 7 seats are there. But out of those 7, 1 seat is reserved for a PWD. Right? And in my class, there is a person with cerebral palsy who has average IQ, but she has physical disability. She has taken up that seat. So she is studying, she is doing MPhil. And in my previous batch, there was a person with visual impairment, and she was studying MPhil, clinical psychology, and I think she is the first clinical psychologist with visual impairment in India. Right? So that is only possible because that 1 seat which is reserved for PWD were present. So those kind of opportunities are there, but how many people are making use of it is a challenging, because so many times these seats are not transferable. If a PWD doesn't take it, it cannot go to a non-reserved category. And it also happens many a times that those seats goes vacant. Even the government has a provision, but people, maybe they were not able to climb the ladder to even do their masters to then apply for MPhil. Right? So those kind of challenges are there. But yeah, right now, because all of this lack of awareness, I would say it is not as tight. But in the future, it will be.
Okay, thank you, Pragya, for clarifying it. Then I have another question, because we are here in Auroville and it's very international. So many kids are not local Indian, they are not Indian at all, they hold a foreign passport. Also, I know some of the government help is also only limited to local Tamil people from here, and people who are from Bangalore, especially if they are from big cities, they cannot claim it. So now my question is, what is with these kids? If they hold a foreign passport, or if they are not here, they are Indian, but they are not local Tamil Indian, maybe from another state, or maybe one parent is Indian, the other parent is from another country. So what is with all these cases?
Yeah. So definitely all of these schemes are for Indian citizens. So a person need to be citizen of India for all the schemes that we discussed, for sure. With respect to, even if they are one parent is of any other country, or any other such things, but if they are a citizen of India, with respect to all the benefits, the schemes I'm talking about, with respect to rights, then see, many rights are fundamental. So then the fundamental rights will apply to everybody. So in terms of rights, there is no such discrimination. But in terms of schemes and concessions, then definitely it is only available to Indian citizens, all of these. And for that, you will need to have your Aadhaar card as well, and your local place of residence, that proof as well. And even to benefit, like for certain schemes, you will have to also have the local thing in place. Like if somebody is a resident of Tamil Nadu and suppose they are living in Delhi, and if they want to make their disability certificate, they will have to go to Tamil Nadu to make it. As far as if their Aadhaar card address is up there. If they have their address and Aadhaar card address of wherever place, you will your certificate will be made from their place. That is also a thing. Because again, the credibility of your national identification is needed for that. So yeah, those are also some challenges I would say, because it's not a overall digital thing that you can get it done from anywhere. You'll have to go to your local place. You will have to get assessment done from the same state, or at least whatever assessment you have, all the medical records assessment and the client, you will have to take all of them to the CMO office, Chief Medical Officer's office, to get that thing made.
And what is this?
So it will be specific to the location as well. It will be specific to the country. But some schemes, so in some cases like that state policies will be in place. Also, some scholarships and benefits are also given by state governments. And some are also given by national. So whatever are national schemes, they will be implemented by throughout, even states. But there are extra, you can say bonus schemes also run by state governments based upon their own state policies. So sometimes then those benefits only those state people can take, which are state policies. But if it is a national scheme, then anybody from the state can, anybody from the country, from any state can benefit from it.
So it's very complicated here for us, because even there are Indians and they only have an OCI and Australian passport and so on. And so, and if you say it has to be done in the same state, we also have a problem, because we have Pondicherry. Many people get their assessment done in Pondicherry, but if you live in Auroville, you have an Aadhaar card from Tamil Nadu. So it's also not advisable to send the people to Pondi for assessment, because then it's not in the same state, or? Correct?
See, this specific thing I might not be able to comment on, because I think this we will have to check over there.
Okay.
Because I don't know how Pondi and if Tamil Nadu CMO are working, because are there two different CMOs or there is one?
Okay.
So that needs to be find out.
Thank you.
Hi Pragya, this is Sandhya. So I have a question here. Now with advancement of AI, artificial intelligence, there are many apps coming, like there's Visa, Smiling Mind for mental health disorders and for people with mental health to go to and seek help. These AI apps are very helpful. And how is the awareness of these AI apps increasing, and how are people approaching it?
I think it's again a very good question. So yes, many AI apps are coming, and even teleconferencing and telemedicine, government is also promoting telemedicine. I don't think so government has any such app as of now, but in telemedicine there is this Telemanas app of Government of India, and then there is this Mano Darpan app for especially school children. The name is Mano Darpan and Telemanas. And again, it gives you free of cost or very nominal mental health services. But aside to that, all these apps that are coming, I would say awareness of it is limited, very, very limited, I would say, until now. And maybe to urban population, to all these metro cities or people who are very tech savvy. But most of even people in tier 2, tier 3 cities, or people coming to government setups might not have such awareness. Also, even government institutions might not be promoting those private apps because again conflict of interest arises. But there is a huge possibility, and a lot of research is also going in that direction to automate as much of things possible, even in government setups. Like I know one of the national institute have all of their assessment process automated. Not exactly automated, but everything digitalized, I can say. So they have tablets to take case history. They are not doing it on pen and paper. So everything is automatically documented. You don't have to do 2 or 3 times paperwork. So those kind of work is happening, but I would say that would be a one-off example. So a lot of potential lies in that area.
Thanks. Pragya, you use the terms differently abled and disabled. I'm just wondering what you'd recommend to use, and the reason being, I have a friend who's visually impaired, and I always use differently abled. But actually, when I did, when she was there, she actually corrected me on it because she said that she's coming from more a rights basis. And she said that she felt that she was disabled and, you know, she needed support, so that's why she used it. So, but I have been told before that differently abled was a better term to use. So I just wanted to get your view on that. And just a second question as well, if you have somebody in mind that could get these supports, what's the first step? Is it taking them to a hospital for assessment? Or is it going more to the department, or what would be the first step? Yeah.
Thank you, Bridget. See, I think this is a matter of huge debate. You know, the terminologies that are suited. And also, it's very important to involve PWDs, like you mentioned, in that debate. Because usually the policies, even of changing the words, are made by governments or by, you know, policymakers. Like nowadays in India, we have a word called Divyang for, again, PWD. But many people with disability have a lot of resentment towards it. They don't want to be called Divyang. But government wants to call them Divyang. So the narrative is too different. Governments want to do it so that the strong taboo and the stigma that is attached from the whole medical model, that or from whole moral model of you know, looking at disability, where it was considered as a result of bad past life karmas or God punishing you, you know, and tabooing in certain way. So to ease that, the idea is to call them Divyang, so that you are saying they are specially able and not disabled. But the person who is experiencing disability, I have talked to many such people and they don't like this idea. They're like, no, I'm not especially able. I'm not Divyang. I'm not having a Divyang. I am struggling because of my difficulties. So there is a difference in the point of view of, I think this also happens because of who is making the policy. Many times the policy is not being made by PWDs. Right. And these terms will keep on changing. Because again, whenever people will challenge it, or new narrative will come, discussions will come. But official, see, disability is an official term. Disability, impairment, handicap, these three are the official terms. And they have clinical specific definitions attached to it. WHO has given their definitions. Right? So that is a specific. But yes, disabled people with, so other terms are used in terms of being more mindful in our communications, especially when we are dealing with children and such population, where people are not so assertive. Like people who will be more aware will be able to have that kind of, you know, acceptance. Once that acceptance of their disability is there, then through that empowerment, that is possible. But once that is not there, And then sometimes people not be so prepared to be called certain words when they are not educated, when they are not informed. That cases, we have to be also sensitive. So yeah, so these things are always changing. So I would say that is, so there's no right and wrong for those. And we have to involve people with disability in that discussion. And for your second question, I'm forgetting, sorry, what was it? Can you repeat?
It's just if you have somebody in mind that could do with supports and they're not already registered, what would be the first step on that?
Yeah, the first step, that is why it is assessment. First step has to be assessment. Early identification, then assessment, then diagnosis. So making it very clear in our minds that diagnosis is not to label anybody, diagnosis is not to restrict anything, but diagnosis is to broaden the horizon of opportunities. So making sure how to use certain things. Same knife can be used to cut apple, and same knife can also be used to harm somebody. So it is on those discretion. Assessment and diagnosis are important, but because it will open this gateway, not to label anybody, not to bring them in a bubble. So yeah, first step needs to be done. And once the disability percentage is there, once the proper diagnosis is there, based on that going forward, because like I told, like NTA, National Trust Act, its benefits are only for 4 disabilities. So if you don't know the diagnosis, you cannot take that benefit, because only for autism, ID, and multiple disability and cerebral palsy, those 4 people will get benefit. Right? So similarly, for certain schemes, there will be specific percentage that only people with 75% above percentage will get this much of pension. Okay, so for that you will need the assessment and percentage. But like I begin with my session with, all those ethic principles need to be there. You need to maintain the autonomy. You need to maintain you need to have all those things in place, confidentiality.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Satyavani. Actually, I have a cousin. She has like twins, a boy and a girl, 6-year-old, and they both are having a hearing impact. But already diagnosed, and I don't know their medical condition is. But now they are having like hearing aids. But what my question is there any way that I can help her, because every year she struggles with changing their aids, and it is more very expensive. So is there any way that I can support, help her in this act, any act that I can help her?
Yeah, so I think first step would be also, just like psychological and neurodevelopmental conditions, physical disabilities assessment also need to happen properly, and I'm sure that would have happened for the cocktail support that they have got. So even for that, a disability percentage is given and a disability certificate is made. Okay, for each kind of disability. So do you know the percentage?
Not really, actually.
So based upon the percentage of that, because see, 2 things happen for physical disabilities like vision and hearing. They also try to check that with the correction, what is the current condition. Because sometimes, like suppose, if I'm not wearing my specs, then I can also have a disability, or some people. But that can be corrected using a specs. Right? Or that can be corrected using the hearing machine. Okay. So based on that, percentage decreases. So or they might have certain condition which is progressive, which will increase with age. So the percentage will keep on changing. Okay. So there are different things according to which the percentage is given either temporarily or permanently. Okay. for benefit in terms of financial support is possible. Like I told you about this ADIP scheme, which is providing support for assistive devices. So this, the machine, hearing machine is a assistive device. So when they can ask about, whenever they go to the National Institute next time for their checkup or their disability certificate, or you can look for the district rehabilitation center nearby and try to inquire if through ADIP you can get a subsidized rate for the machine. So definitely there are provisions. They give you things on subsidized rate. And sometimes on some schemes are there, on some special days they are celebrating, they even give off free of cost.
Thank you.
And you can
So
also
you will
check
have to.
with Deepan. You can also check with Deepan because Angelica is also working very hard for that, and she has already set up a lot. You can discuss also with Angelica.
Yes. So thank you.
Just close that, because the children are in the school.
Yeah, they
They
are
are
very
from the village.
But it is regular and around Auroville, they're like 1 hour traveling actually. They're far.
But where they are going to school?
In their village actually.
Almost. Anyway,
Thank you. So I'll try my best.
Thank you.
so um, just Pragya,
I was thinking it's okay that if we close here, I mean, if there is not any other question, and I mean, it's our, let's say, last formal session. Still, we have Radha Krishna in the afternoon, but it's kind of complement for the missing session. So I don't know if you want to close in any particular way. We also have called the SLS facilitators, and are here, by the way, enter, that I have a lot of gratitude because are working on the ground. Asita, Coco, and Rosario, there doesn't want to be seen so much, but are here.
So nice to see.
And I thank you that came, because it was not confirmed. Hope we have Sanjeev also. It's like now we have a. So I would just, if we can say maybe a few words, and I'm thank you to you basically first than anyone, because yeah, as I mentioned, without you I will not make it. In many ways, how we started our first fight with Francoise and Laura, that when we thought about the proposal and for FWE. So yeah, today it's a reality. Thank you for all the trust and support, because without also both of you, that Francoise is not here today. She is not, her health is not allowed her to be with us. Yeah, all the rest, that Nilima for her presence, I don't know where she is now. Sanjeev, that is there behind, and all the trainees that went through all the process, and really do a lot of work, and they manage, because actually very few withdraw. And yeah, I don't know if I miss anyone, or being Gopa for her session, Swati, Chaitanya, I mean, and many, even Leela from Leela Loka, that she has been also giving a beautiful session. Yeah, I hope I'm not missed, and also in particular a lot of gratitude to my SLS team that are working in the ground with the kids, and to all. So maybe if anyone would like to say a few words, let's not make it just too long, because I think you also are tired. Has been a long morning, and with a lot today. So yeah, well, Radha Krishna, that he also did a lot. Akhil, that today is also not with us, but he has also been doing a lot of work for this happening. And Wamika, that she gave also a lot of input today. She was very busy and she didn't manage to come. Yeah, so I mean these 3-4, but I mean well, we have also, if I go to that, we have also Nilji that I also appreciate a lot, and Matthias from the integral education side. Anyway, I'm sorry if I meet someone, because I feel like has been many pieces to who bring the tea, who prepare the tea. It's like without all of you, it's not just about one person. I think it's about a big teamwork that has behind making this happening. And and also without the funding of FWE, we will for sure not make it. For sure not, because that play a very important role to do with us work.
Sanjeev?
I don't know you. Yeah, we were missing you, so I was thinking like, what's up? But I would like that you come and tell us a few words.
Thank you. So, an output is activity completed. The activity completed, or more or less. Maybe you will still have a few sessions after that, right? It always happens, right? So, but activity completed is that you have gone through a course. That is not an outcome in itself. The outcome is only when it reaches the children. The outcome is only if this becomes a movement, because we asked many of you who are actually senior teachers, and it's hard to take time out. I understand. Right? And all of you did, and you have survived. Very good. Yeah, it was a hard course, long course, and it was intense. So I'm very happy you have all survived. But now, what will reach our schools? This we need to think about. How will we take it further? So, we want to do the program next year, but the amount of work they went into to do the program this year, if you are not involved in the next program, it will not work. This I can tell you. The kind of effort that they have put in this year is enormous. I have been watching. It's a huge amount of work. Just coordinating with so many facilitators itself is a lot of work. So, how will you be part of the journey when it goes further? One, in your own school, your own institution, and for others, not just my school. I have done something in my class. I'm happy. So how do you take it further? We have given many requests. Please follow up with the requests and actually show up to support the programs that are going to happen next. In your school, at the Teachers Center, through the programs that will happen next. And also they have many facilitators who are supporting them to actually go into schools and support. When you can take time, you can also support them. So if their group grows, then this will become a movement. Otherwise, this will again be a one-time activity, one more course I attended, one more thing I learned, but how much got applied? That's it.
Sanjeev, I would be so happy if you could help us to have the schools open themselves up and welcome every single one of these participants.
Lovely to see you again. I would really please help us to get the schools to understand, recognize, and welcome us in. Please, because obviously if all of us have learned all of these things and we're boxed in by school requirements or school lack of interest, we're not going to be able to do it even if we're totally motivated and completely enthusiastic ourselves. We need your support. Please.
So one of the reasons that I had understood that you are from so many different schools, right? I see Upadhyay, I see Tamara is here, IKM is here, Deepana is here. So the idea is that you need to create that opening. That is why you did this course. So you understand what you are creating an opening for. It was useful, it was valuable, it will be valuable for other teachers, and they won't come. This is the reality of what she's talking about. Yes, I have gone through it, hard, it was valuable, and now no one else will come. Well, no, you have to make sure other people come. You have to make sure that there is a space available in your workplace where others are welcome to come in, even if right now no one else from your school is. How many people? Only one person from their school. So your job is clear, right? You have to at least double. Okay. How many people? At least 2 people from a school. Now your school has to move. Your school has to move, not individuals. Where you have just started 1 person, opening has to be there. Where more than 2 people, there is enough. You can change the school. Yeah, alone hard. You're going to find another person. So these 2 are going to go and say, come, it was great, you attend. But people who are here with more than 1 person, you're not doing anything in your school, then we wasted our time on you. Yeah, if nothing moves in your school, we wasted our time on it. Because this was a strategic program, not just a regular teacher training. That's why everybody was called, everybody interviewed. Why all that effort was taken? So that you take that responsibility to take something further in your school. It's not just about your learning in your classroom. That's simply not enough anymore. I learned and I used it for all the children in my classroom. It is not enough anymore. Something has to move in the school. So those of you who are alone, please create openings so more people come. Those of you who are not alone, now it's your responsibility that this becomes part of your school. Okay, so how many schools? She said, let's go. IKM, more than 1 person, right? 2 of you are there. Opening there at IKM. Tamarai. Why are you even sitting together? By the way. Along with their school, something. No, only I see Kavita and Vipra. Very good. Well done. You come here to mix with people, you are not sitting with each other. Well done. That's my school. I'm happy. Okay. So, that's what I would say. You come to a program, you meet other people. Don't keep sitting with people you know. In the program, they would have made sure you don't sit with your people. Now it was your choice. See what you're doing. Amala. IQ 140, ma. Don't argue with me. Alright, fine. So, IQ, Tamarai, Isiamlam, clear. Then, what other places are you from? Where are you from? Holy School. Alright, Holy School shows up for anyway most activities. This is nice. I actually like this about Holy School. Any workshop is there, they will take an effort, they'll show up. Very nice. Right? Good. Okay. Others should do the same. We should learn something from Holy School. I'm just going to say things as they are. You see any workshop, they'll be there. Yes. They come as if they know we are here to grow. We have to remember that.
I just want to stop you for a second.
Yes.
When Holy School was created, the policy, the main policy was training.
Right.
Who teacher engaged with Holy School, and they know very well, the commitment was full training. And actually now are a little bit less, but before was every Saturday was the commitment to get in training. Otherwise they will not gonna get the work. So it's I know also IKM has follow every year 15 days of training. I just would like only to add something here, Sanjeev, sorry to interrupt you. Something that I learned in particular with this work is we need to work in team. Doesn't matter what school it is, doesn't matter in what level you are working with, if you are executive, if you are teacher, if you are the AMA working on the place. I think we need to, or parent or child, we need to work together, and especially in this aspect. I think, because I'm just gonna take the words of Laura, when she talked about that we need your support, is during the training, many teachers have been expressed that if SAIIER doesn't support the manifestation of the law, the manifestation of all what has been learning during these months, will be very hard for them to take it over. One of the things that I answer, and I can repeat because all of them are here, is we are SAIIER. But there is a fact that if we don't motivate it, the principals of the schools, if we don't motivate the executives, and we make them aware, because I think what is missing is the understanding and the knowledge about all this, in order to take it over, because I think when they see the importance and why we have to do it, I think everyone will understand. It's just question of information. I don't say that the teachers doesn't play role, go back, and I think they are doing, for what I see in the evolution, even the relationship that are building with the students, the relationship that they are building with the parents, the personal reflection that I have been doing, this create a big change. But I will say it's a work that we need to hold all together. SAIIER, teachers, schools, SLS team, non-SLS team, whoever in a way has to do this, or is interested to do this work. So I just, sorry to interrupt you, but I feel it was important to say this. And also I have been hearing many teachers expressing their own concerns through all these months and how to make it happen. And without our support, even sometimes a simple email to get a permission to come to do the homework at Teacher Center. We have to do also that. And because the teachers were not getting the permission. So all that work that happened behind the jars, we have to do it. And that we also have to commit with. And I think the SAIIER play a very, very important role. Just not, I will say, all together. Let's to work together. No less, not more, all together. Otherwise, really won't happen. It's the same with the kids. If we don't have the parents, if we don't have the child, if we don't have the teachers on board, if we don't have the responsible of the school on board, it's very, very hard to work. But when we have it, the changes are wonderful. We have been seeing that. Yeah, thank you, Sanjeev. And thank you to everyone. Yeah.
Sure. There is something called a committed request. Here, committed request is, first it comes from a commitment, from care. What do you really care about? So she's talking about you want to bring some change in the school. I don't know what change you want to bring in your school. You know better. Very good. You have a commitment. You can't just say, SAIIER, we need help. I don't know what that means. Right? So, if you had a difficulty getting requests, if you had a difficulty coming here because you have a class and your school is unable to schedule it, and no one is taking an effort, you have to send us a message. This is what I require. If I know what to do, we are happy to do it. Right? But I cannot send an email saying, be more open. Because it makes people feel like we are already open, you are telling us behavior change. Ask for action. What is the action that will make it open? Allow teachers to have time to come for training. Very good. A specific, actionable point, then I can send it to the schools. Right? It's not about a school. We are here in Auroville to practice integral education, which means the growing soul, which means our growing soul first, which means I have to put effort in my progress. End of story. That's it. That's what we have signed up for together. And even in your school, because now you have me on your board, no other choice. It has to be about progress. Okay. So, if that's what we are here for, then whatever is needed, it's specific. Make a clear request. What do you want me or SAIIER to do? By what time? Make a request. We'll see what we can do. The only difficulty we have right now, this is unfortunately, this is reality, is funds. We are not able to even do our projects or activities, research activities. Okay, this is the reality of where we are now. So if you ask me for funds, I'll say apply to SWE, apply to this. I can only give you suggestions right now of where we are. And we can help you write a proposal if that's what you need. If you're having difficulty writing, we'll help you write a proposal. We did yesterday. We wrote a proposal for one of the units. They couldn't write it, got rejected. Not rejected, they said not good enough. All right, we'll sit and write for you, no problem. So ask for specific help, and we are here to support. We can always look at what is not there. Please look at what is there. What do you have? How can you build on what you have? Nobody can do anything with what you don't have. What do you have? You have all received valuable training. Many of you have come more than one person from a school. These are things you have. You have continued support of Teacher Center and all the people that you have interacted with. I'm sure they have given you, if you have a question, write to me. How many people wrote to people after the session? Many facilitators you encountered, no? I met many of them in the beginning of the program. So at least 6 of them I saw. And that Radhakrishna was actually here. We even spent time with all of you, right? How many people personally wrote to him? Personally, I wrote to him with a question. One person. You have access to resources. How are you using it? All this you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. What do we have? Are we using it in our best capacity? Let's start with that. And if there's something specific you need, we are of course happy to help.
So it is okay that we stop here. I mean, the media people it has to leave. They has been here since 8:30, and also the battery is running out. So they request us to have one photo all together. Can we all agree with that? And I think we move because I have to go, and I don't want to stop. I told him 12, so he's just waiting. He came back from his duties just for the picture that has requested. Thank you very much. Pragya, do you think that we can stop here? I mean, I wanted to hear all of you, but maybe in the afternoon we can have a little more time.
I'll not take more time. You all, I really value your time and commitment. I just want to thank all of you from the deepest corner of my heart, because me and Anna, we started this because something in us had that, something tamed in our heart. But I can feel that there is something as well in your heart also, because of which you also came in this program and you stayed through this long journey, I would say. So I would just like to offer heartful gratitude to that something within our hearts that has brought us here. So a lot of gratitude and reverence to that within your and my heart. And I pray that flame to guide us ahead from here, and for that to grow in harmony, in collective energy together. As today, everybody is present, even Sanjeev is here, other people from SAIIER is here, Secretary Ma'am joined. So let us pray and hope that for the cause, not for any one of us, but for the cause, for what this whole program was started, it grows and it is taken further from here. And we all are able to learn, grow, and reach out to whoever needs this. And we continue that. So thank you so much. I think we'll take a moment of silence, 1 minute of silence, with that aspiration, with that prayer. Let's end this course together. So thank you so much. So let Mother, let Shri Aurobindo take it from her. And we all continue to be the instruments in this process. Thank you so much.
Thank you.